Thanks, John. Wow, last night, we talk a lot about in business. It's not just about driving business, but also about driving relationships and also having a little bit of fun. Being here in Vegas, Guy, I heard you surprised your brother last night. What happened?
Morning, everybody. Yes, I think hopefully everybody had a good time last night. There's Christian, my brother, who runs Red Bull team, who had a phenomenal season, obviously winning the World Championship. It's his 50th birthday, so we've got an Elvis impersonator, a superfan, McLaren superfan here, who's come dressed as Elvis. So I grabbed him and we took him into the Formula One paddock. And I think it's the biggest audience he's ever had, Netflix, Sky, ESPN. And we got him to sing Happy Birthday to Christian in the Red Bull garage. And it's true to say my brother did a pretty quick exit, but it's good to embarrass him on his birthday. So he'll be knocking around today as well, Elvis. He's very enthusiastic. I don't think he's ever had so many photos. So no, it was a bit of fun.
Well, that was incredible. I wish I was there. We heard from David yesterday morning, incredibly inspiring. Before we jump into the work that you do at TBA, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to being the CEO of TBA, and then we'll go into the questions.
Yeah, well, TBA was set up in 1983. We're an experience agency group. I joined in a long time ago, 1997. Took over the business in 2000. 24 at the time. I think in your 20s you think you know everything and you're fearless. It's been a great journey since then. We've got three divisions: sports business, which Velocity, my business with David Coulthard is one, so a lot of sports experiences, and then a brands business working with some amazing brands, creating their external consumer and internal events, and then an entertainment business. So we put Adele into Vegas here for her residency. We've got a Def Leppard tour at the moment. We do quite a lot of tours in the States as well as internationally, so working in arenas and concert venues. So it's great actually with the brands we work with. We understand sport, we understand entertainment, so being able to connect up and really leverage those opportunities.
I mean, F1 in Vegas is probably the intersection of all of that, right? Let's focus in specifically on the sport piece, and maybe specifically on motorsport. Obviously, Netflix Drive to Survive effect, something like the fandom has grown somewhere north of 400% since 2019. How has that changed your focus with Velocity?
It's been a phenomenal journey, actually. We started Velocity in 2017. We had a little launch event in London the same week as Chase Carey signed the deal with Bernie to buy Formula One. And I remember they wanted to do a big launch event in London, and I think they hadn't got the permissions they needed. So Chase gave us, he just employed Sean Bratches from ESPN, he gave us a week to get some permissions to run an event in London. And we closed down Whitehall from Big Ben to Trafalgar Square, had all 10 teams running on the streets of London, and had a concert in Trafalgar Square, 140,000 people, closed down some of the tube stations. And that was kind of Liberty putting down the marker saying, we're here to innovate and change. And the biggest thing for Formula One, which any of you who have followed it will know, is obviously unlocking America. And Formula One had always struggled. A few races, including one here in Caesars Car Park, good 30 years ago, and had always struggled. And Liberty managed to unlock that from basically giving away the rights in the first season to ESPN to get them to air it, to now getting $80 million plus rights fees. Drive to Survive has been phenomenal. You now see lots of other sports trying to recreate that magic, and just opening it up to a whole different geographical set of consumers, but also a much broader than the traditional male middle-aged fan base of Formula One. So, and everyone's benefited. You've got all these teams. 5 years ago, it was nobody wanted to buy a Formula One team. Now the starting price is $500 million, to get into Formula One, and up to $1 billion plus sports franchises. So hats off to Liberty. They've really done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, you just touched on the growth of the sport between the sort of traditional male audience. I read another stat, something just within women within the U.S. that sport has grown by 250% since 2019, which is absolutely massive. Tell us a little bit about the work with McLaren specifically.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I kind of took my McLaren jacket off in the paddock yesterday because I didn't think walking into Red Bull it was particularly diplomatic. But David Coulthard, obviously some of you hopefully met or heard from David yesterday morning. He was at McLaren for 10 years as a driver, 13 Grand Prix wins, came second in the World Championship a number of times. And when we've worked in Formula One since 2017 with the Velocity Agency. And we wanted to create a different kind of experience, hospitality experience here in Vegas. And we knew of Dre's, and we talked to Brian and the team at Dre's, and then various different brand partners. And actually, McLaren as a team is incredibly innovative, huge, iconic history. And recently, obviously, have been really back, best of the rest behind Red Bull, having an amazing season, two great drivers in Lando and Oscar. And so sat down with Zach Brown, the CEO, and hashed out a relationship and a collaboration that gave McLaren a totally different experience, created something a little bit different, more informal than maybe Paddock Club and the other propositions that are here. So it's the first year of this collaboration, and then we have a wider relationship with McLaren, designing their other sort of fan experiences and hospitality bits and pieces. So we're thrilled about it. Everybody seemed to enjoy themselves last night, and as long as we stay on schedule, on track, we should have a good couple of days.
Last night was amazing. I was there. I tapped out a little bit early because we were first on stage. We'll see where the rest of the weekend goes. For anyone that wasn't here, maybe give us a quick overview of what happened last night and what can we see here for the next 2 days.
Well, I think what we're trying to achieve here with McLaren Vista is a more connected experience. We talk a lot at TBA Group about experience everywhere and all the different touch points in terms of getting engagement and immersion and really creating meaningful experiences. And I think with McLaren being able to, you'll see a lot more of it, those of you who are staying on tonight, tomorrow, connecting down to the pit lane, getting the drivers involved, getting Zach, getting insights behind the scenes to really feel connected to the team and part of the team. It's a McLaren team experience. And I think it's been interesting actually in Vegas because there's so many of the clubs and casinos really think about big acts and artists, and it's Marshmallow or Tiesto or Calvin Harris, and for us the big act is Formula One. It's McLaren, it's the teams, and so it was a bit hairy craning the car onto the pool on Monday night. The crane driver did a great job from 11 stories below on the street, but yeah, it's great to create this McLaren experience, and we've got a lot of entertainment and host stars, Formula One stars, DJs, music acts, and some TV personalities. Obviously, Mark Wahlberg's hosting it with Fletcher's tequila brand as well. So Mark's here, Damian Lewis, and a load of others who are going to come in and enjoy themselves.
Well, I can't wait. I'm on a 6 o'clock flight out on Sunday morning, so maybe I'll go straight to the airport after that. And maybe that's a good segue also. TBA is an agency. How does TBA really differentiate itself from other agencies within the experiential space?
Yeah, I mean, we're an independent agency group based out of London, 125 creatives and project managers and strategists, and a great team we've got there. A small office in Japan for Rugby World Cup and Olympics, big office in Paris at the moment because we've got Olympics next year. We just finished Rugby World Cup activations with a lot of brand sponsors and just opened in your town of LA 6 months ago. So we've got a good geographical spread. The US is very important to us as an agency group moving forward. So when you look at sport with FIFA World Cup 26, there's some guys from FIFA here this weekend, Olympics 28, Rugby World Cup, Formula One, not to mention all the US sports, from an international and European basis. Soccer, obviously, with Beckham and into Miami is a real hotspot at the moment. So we're super excited about growing in the US, and for us, it's really about being specialists in the areas we operate in sport and in entertainment and with our brand partners. And the different agency teams, Velocity know Formula One inside out. They've got great relationships with the broadcast teams, with the commercial teams, with Liberty, etc. So we're able to help brands navigate that and really unlock relationships and unlock value. Same as music and entertainment, or if we're working on comms projects with the brand teams. So I think that the quality of the team of individuals and the people, the creativity and the thinking, and you know, sticking to those areas that we really know well to be able to be specialists at.
That's incredible. You just touched on consumer connectivity, you talked about authenticity. One other thing that pops up within the world of agencies a lot is innovation. We just saw a lot of that in the hype reel. Maybe talk a little bit about how you stay on top of innovation from an agency perspective, and how do you enable your teams to stay innovative?
Yeah, a couple of things really. We have an initiative at TBA Group called X Labs, which is a group of guys and girls and some external workshops included in that. So always looking at different opportunities coming along. We're at the end of the day, we're an ideas business, we're a creative agency group. So as well as the sort of strategy and thinking and insights and understanding the different audiences that we're trying to engage with, then being able to be you know, realistic as well, you know, pushing the boundaries, but at the end of the day, we've got to deliver these projects. So we've got to deliver them to a world-class standard and in a way that's different and engaging. So yeah, we try to push the boundaries with projects, but also, you know, you've got to be able to deliver. And I think in our business, you know, you're only as good as your last job, really. If you cock up a live show, then you don't get asked back.
I mean, that's another great segue. We heard from Fernando yesterday as he was talking about authenticity and really being able to authentically connect with consumers, finding your space, finding your lane that you want to touch in. I've worked with tons of agencies over my life. You know, there's always the desire to balance sort of business results with creativity and brand relevance, which at times is a little bit harder to balance. How do you balance that within TBA?
Yeah, it's a great point, because you're always trying to, you know, our brand clients and customers are always looking for that different edge and that way to really resonate and be relevant in different audiences' lifestyles, and as you say, be authentic and genuine, and not just sort of, you know, pushing content at audiences. And I think understanding those areas that we work in, understanding, you know, different audience groups and the insights that we can bring to the thinking, to then transfer that into the experience. So time spent up front is normally the best time. But often, you know, really understanding the brief often isn't the brief. The brief is out there to get a response, to get the wheels moving, and then when you dig into it, you actually really find you know, the business challenge and you know, the objectives, and then unpick from there. So we're lucky we've got a great, strong strategy and creative team based out of London who lead on a lot of that work and then implement it across the world wherever we're working.
I love that. My best agencies relationships have always been that. You know, you put a brief out there, it starts as a conversation, and that final product comes with the relationship that we have with the agency and hopefully trust that we build over time. John, where are we with time? A few minutes? Before we go into maybe some more Vista question, what else outside of Formula One can we look forward to from TBA in 2024?
Yeah, it's a big year coming up next year. Obviously, Olympics in Paris is huge. We're working closely with WME on that and on location. So we've got 26 venues that we've designed for the Olympics, creating experiences around that. And then obviously, the second part of that, their contract runs on for Winter Olympics in Milan in 26, and then LA, which is going to be just huge in 28. We've got Champions League next year coming up, and then yeah, a break from Formula One until March, and then that gets going again. We'll be very, very busy on that. So yeah, some exciting stuff coming up. Still a couple of dozen events, experiences to do back in 23, and then refreshed out at Christmas, and off we go again.
That's incredible. Maybe in the last few minutes, we want to open up for questions if there are any.
Pleasure to meet you. My question is, what is it like to have the best job in the world?
Well, as you guys all know, you know, these roles and projects look glamorous, but there's always a commercial objective underneath. So look, it's a lot of fun, very privileged, as David was saying yesterday. You know, it's great to work in Formula One and across global sport and entertainment. I think, you know, it's quite pressurized because you've got that one moment to deliver. My older brother's a lawyer, so I always say, well, you know, if you get the contract wrong, you just change it and give it back to the client, and no one's hurt. So there is that moment of pressure, which is intense, but it's also part of the thrill, I think, of creating live experiences. But yeah, we're very fortunate, and I think, especially for the young guys and girls and people starting off their career in our agency and in the industry, it's not the best paid industry probably, but in terms of traveling the world and the experiences you get to see and the career you can build, it is a lot of fun, and it's long hours, but it gives you amazing experiences and visibility that I've been very fortunate to travel to lots of corners of the world, as I'm sure you guys have in your different roles and careers. So there's hopefully a few more adventures to come.
Hi, thank you for this. My name is Elizabeth. I was just wondering, what do you think is the most interesting consumer-facing activation that you've seen here, and why?
Well, I would be biased because, as well as McLaren Vista, we've got a Puma activation we're doing, we've got Patron and Paramount Plus, Formula One sponsor, so we're quite busy across town with 4 different teams activating. But Vegas is an interesting one. It's new turf, isn't it? It's the first race, so a lot of teams have gone into it heavily, and partners and sponsors. Some partners actually and sponsors we found are kind of, because of the hotel prices early on and stuff, have kind of scared off or just sort of sat back for year one. Red Bull North America put a huge amount into, if you go down, you see behind the paddock building, they put a lot of effort into that. It looks phenomenal, I think. And Red Bull, very marketing-led business, so you'd expect them to do well. So there's a really nice job of that. I think we've got some really fun stuff happening with Patron as well. They have a relationship with Checo Perez and Red Bull Racing, so the Bacardi Patron team have been very busy on that. And then, Paramount for us is an interesting one, because Paramount's a Formula One sponsor, and they obviously don't have the broadcast rights to Formula One, but they want to activate in their programming and content and the relationship with Formula One, so they're down in the fan zone. And if you guys get time, you should wander across. It's only, I think, 8-10 minute walk. Go and have a look at the paddock and fan zone and down there. There's some really interesting activations.
So thank you so much for this session. I'm curious, during COVID days when you couldn't do live events, what creative ideas did you guys have and have actually carried through now?
Yeah, that was pretty miserable to start off with. It's a bit like dominoes. One event got cancelled, then the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. And we ended up going from a very busy calendar to nothing. Obviously, our Olympic program in Japan got completely cancelled. We built all of that. Never opened the hospitality to any guests. Formula One got going again pretty quickly, but obviously without fans. We pivoted to a lot of virtual content and events, and certainly our Top Banana, our internal comms business, creating virtual experiences, but also got involved more around Web3, and metaverse is an untrendy word now. We have a Web3 team based out of California, so creating more experiences in parallel in the virtual world, working with Roblox and some other partners like that. So that forced us, I think, often, it forced us as a business to really invest and embrace that more, and now we really, find it as a parallel opportunity to, in real life and virtual experiences, and I think, consumers can live in both. So it was good for us, COVID. It forced us to do things differently, think differently, get more involved. As I say, with Web3, we acquired an agency as well during COVID. So I think we tried to use it as an opportunity to, come out stronger.
Let's give it up for Guy and Dennis.